Hello everyone, my name is Sibdas Sengupta and I work with Gallery Dotwalk in realizing the exhibitions. Today we are at Hyderabad State Gallery and this is our first exhibition at Hyderabad. As an outreach exhibition, we have been looking for doing more and more exhibitions in different parts of the country. And this is the starting point through which we really want to extend this journey. So we are here at the exhibition Siren's Lullaby in a Forgotten Realm, curated by Premjish Achari. And we will be talking about different facets through which the exhibition is being developed and is being realized, and how through different sections this exhibition also connects to larger themes around psychoanalysis and art. So in video, we have Premjish Achari today here. To begin with, I would like to start with the question that how you came up with this idea and the title of this exhibition, Siren's Lullaby in a Forgotten Realm, which is quite specific. And what was the inspiration and motivation which has kind of, made this title as the title of this exhibition?
So the title and the exhibition is inspired by my preoccupation with dreams, psychoanalysis, and the examination of the unconscious. And the title is quite lengthy because it also reflects the complexity of the dreams which we have engaged with. So sirens in Greek mythology or in European mythology, they are similar. They are like mermaids who lure the sailors by their sweet voice, sweet singing, into the depths of the ocean to kill them. And so there is a lure that is there, that is led by desire, and the desire always ends in a fatality. There is a death, there's an eventual death or perishing that happens. So that is what the first part conveys. So dreams are also similar to that there is a luring into the dream world. When we sleep, we fall into that world. And that world is again a world that is filled with elements of fantasy, but also complex, compounded by that or combined with that is also the elements of memory, traces of memory, impressions that is there in the unconscious, repressed elements, repressed events, those that are present in the unconscious, all surface together into this world. And then when we wake up, we forget it. There are only traces of that world which we remember. So that's what the Siren's Lullaby, the dream world that remains in a forgotten realm. We think that we have forgotten many times, but the unconscious remembers because unconscious is what it's creating. So that has been the inspiration behind this title. And the exhibition also takes its root or its conceptual references from a lot of studies that have been done on dreams. Especially psychoanalysis is one of the most important disciplines that have engaged with dreams intensely. But apart from that, recent studies, especially the cultural studies, scholars who have examined the cultural history of dreams through a comparative framework by engaging with how dreams are interpreted, how dreams are read, and the way religion, culture, society all frames our understanding and interpretation of dreams. So studies like that, and also the role of AI and technology also in shaping dreams, especially for the contemporary times, is very important that we forget how technology is also influencing the unconscious. And there is also dream and sleep archive that is emerging, where people can record their dreams and while they're sleeping. That will come in the future, but there is a sleep and dream archive that is emerging in the world. So all this context, and especially the foundational context, is Sigmund Freud's and in the interpretation of dreams. That has been the foundational book where dreams have been identified as a significant event in human beings' life to understand the psyche, to understand the unconscious. As Freud says, that it's the royal road to the unconscious, that one of the best ways to understand the unconscious is via the dreams. And so that played an important role in understanding the role of dreams, how dreams are shaped by the unconscious, and how the repressed elements, the repressed events manifest itself as dreams. And dreams can be very beautiful. It can be very seductive. It is filled with seducing fantasies, beautiful landscapes, and everything. And it is also very illogical, as we know that the world that exists in dream is very, it crumbles, it collapses together all of a sudden. It can be nightmarish. It can be very scary too. It kind of evokes fear, anxiety also. It can do that too. But whatever happens in the dream, according to Freud, it's a wish fulfillment. That it's what the body, or sorry, the mind has desired in that way. And that is what is getting manifested. So coming to art is this unique connection of dream and the art. And it's not a unique connection that way, because historically we know that one of the important art movements, surrealism, was inspired by dreams and the unconscious. And artists have been working on that. They have used dream, including the very popular Salvador Dali, but other artists like René Magritte and all who were part of the surrealist movement looks at the paradox of this world that is a reality and engage with the paradox of the meaning that exists in this world, but the absence of meaning or the illogic of meaning that exists in the dream world. And this does not mean, I'm not meaning to say that dream does not have meaning. Dream actually is a condensation of multiple symbols. Dream actually is the condensation of multiple meanings. And like that, art too is polysemic in nature, that an image carries multiple potent symbols in it. So it requires a much more complex way of engagement. And psychoanalysts have always played a crucial role in engaging with artworks, again starting with Sigmund Freud's own study on Da Vinci, where he has engaged with Da Vinci's works and also identified Da Vinci's early fear of vulture as a sign of his homosexuality. And that was his reading. And he actually is one of the early psychoanalysts to popularize a theoretical study using art. And similarly, I also mentioned to you about Barbara Hepsworth, the sculptor, whose works were psychoanalytically interpreted by the psychoanalyst and art critic Adrian Stokes. And he looked at the depression, he looked at the mother and child series in her works, and looked at the curves, the depression in the sculptures, and the positive negative duality in the sculptures as the expressive and the repressed elements that are there in her own psyche. Julia Kristeva has written extensively on Louis Bourgeois' work, and Louis Bourgeois herself has many times claimed about her traumatic experience, and through art, because psychoanalysis also says that through art becomes a way to sublimate the repressed elements or the desire, the excessive desires that are there in us. Art is a civilized way to sublimate that experience. So that is a unique connection which I am trying to draw together. And it's a complex subject, it's a complex area of engagement, and I hope the exhibition does justice to that.
Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful explanation on how you have arrived to the title and your own curatorial choices through which you have been engaged with your own concerns to develop the exhibitions. But before we come back to psychoanalysis, I also would like to understand from you that how you come up with the list of artists. This is quite a large exhibition as well. This is quite a large exhibition with diverse range of works. So what was there in your mind in terms of selection of the works and also the selection of the specific body of works which are part of this exhibition? How did you arrive there?
So initially I thought of working on like a general idea of dreams and general idea of the unconscious. So that was the idea in mind. But then I thought that the way I have selected the artists based on their practice and mostly their rigorous engagement with images, this also a question I will elaborate on, because it was for me a question, a debate between representation versus reality. That is real events more intense and disturbing, or the representation of it. And there is a big debate about it, that the resemblance of reality is not that effective, that the real incidents of violence and trauma or the real incidents of beauty are the most effective ones. So for me, but I believe that I'm not only looking at the aesthetic potential of the works, but in a psychoanalytic manner, I'm also looking at the psychodynamics of the images. That images can, even if no, we're not looking from an aesthetic point of view, it can generate psychic responses. It can generate emotional responses in the body. That it can move people, it can shake people. So in that way, I assembled a group of artists whose images are very powerful, whose images explore or whose images elaborate into a scheme of dream kind of world, where the reality is complicated, and they show that reality in a complex manner, and that is what my purpose was, to engage with various forms of expression that can create a collapsible dream world through various objects, through various impressions, through various forms of desires that are visually represented, or through various fears, or again through various illogic architectural structures or spatial arrangements. So all that became very important for me, and even in terms of color, that the colors they use, all of it became very important for me, because they are also symbolic in nature, and even its symbolism or the interpretation of that symbolism also varies from the culture to culture.
Right.
But I think it's Clement Friedberg. I think that's where which he. I'm not. Friedberg is a second name. The especially his book called The Power of Images, where he is proposing a strong theory that even without any of the cultural or art historical understanding, people will still respond to certain images universally in the same way. So maybe for like our classical or usual understanding is that I look at Irana's work, or I look at Anjaneyulu's objects, and the Telugu person will understand more or can relate more to Anjaneyulu's object, and somebody else from north may not be that in that intensity. But Friedberg's argument is that the reading of the image, like the experience of the dream also, is very primitive, and it is coded in our history, it is coded in us, that there could be a universal response to the object which Anjaneyulu has created, or the object which Ravindra Reddy has created for the exhibition. So those were some of the things that I wanted to examine. So the choices also were dependent on that. And of course, like since it's an exhibition, like, but I have assembled a range of generation of artists with different forms of expression. So that has been an important way to select and go for the artists.
Right. To add to what you just mentioned and the art historical references and theoretical references through which you also have developed the exhibition, it also segregates the exhibition in different parts. And it's very diligently also, you have kept the works in different parts of this exhibition to create an exhibition which talks about different facets of this concept, the facets of psychoanalysis, the way you want to approach with. And so could you also talk about the different sections through which you have segregated this exhibition, and what was there in your kind of mind when you were kind of segregating the works as well?
So the exhibition is divided into three sections. Like you said, it is divided into three sections to mainly engage with the complexity of the subject at hand, the dream and the unconscious. So the first section, the whisper of dreams, that is what the section we are standing here. Behind me is Sujit Sen's work, and here we can also see Ravindra Reddy's this particular beautiful sculpture. And in the background we have a GV in there. So this section also is looking at dream as an important subject in the making of an artwork, but dream also has maybe a direct or indirect inspiration behind the making of the artwork. The objects, the desires, the fantasies that also shape the artworks. And most of the artworks for me are also counter reality, or they are creating a new reality, a new way of imagination that is presented to us. So that is what I have tried to assemble in this exhibition. For example, if you look at this particular work by Reddy sir, you can see that it's a plantain, the bunch of plantain bananas that are there, and but it's not realistic as such. The reality of it is completely distorted or collapsed by the presence of these flowers. And this kind of imagination, without any kind of what you call material effort or physical effort, the dream world creates these kind of combination of different meanings. And this has a particular symbolic relevance here, that you see people carrying these kind of bunches on their cycles, they go to the market. But where is this coming from? This is also coming from the women who wear these garlands on their head. And then they are also going in the market, they are also going to the workplace or whatever. So 2, 3 multiple symbols are assembled together in one complex manner in this sculpture. And that is what dream worlds also do. So they are laden with complex symbols, they are laden with multiple meanings, and they come together in one particular event, as we call dream. And again, as they come together in one particular event called what we call as the art. So that is what happens. So Whisper of Dreams is about the complexity of images along with the complexity of dreams, to understand where these images are coming from. And for me, they are not purely art historical images, or they take inspiration from images from previous masters or previous time periods, or they are looking at things and then they are creating this. This is coming from somewhere.
Right.
And these are the whispers of dreams.
Right.
What has been forgotten, that what we think that has been forgotten, but makes its presence come back through the artworks.
Right.
Through the choices. Like, why is Anjaneyalu's work in red color background? Where is that choice coming from? Is that a conscious choice? And if you think that's a conscious choice, but why that particular color? Why particular medium? Why particular strokes? Why particular composition? So all these problems, all these possibilities merit this question, that where is these choices? Where are these choices coming from?
Right.
And that's what we are trying to understand from this
Section.
section. Yeah.
I just want to kind of extend also, since you can spoke about the subjectivity and the realm of psychic emotions. So what also Jacqueline Rose also says about what psychoanalysis does. It talks about a space which refers to the precarity of the subjectivity. It talks about the shakiness of the subjectivity, where the subjectivity is also in its own question, right? And I want to extend with that when we kind of see psychoanalysis from our conventional sense, and how we understand this idea of familiar and unfamiliar, and unfamiliar becomes the familiar. What's your take on that? And how do you see, through artistic practices, this unfamiliar becoming familiar as an important proposition, as an important way to see, the world around us? How do you see that?
See, art does that. Art always makes the familiar unfamiliar, and unfamiliar not in a way that one distance from it. It makes it unfamiliar from it in the sense that it frees from its conventional meanings. It frees from its conventional context. It frees from, or it liberates the object or the meaning or the symbol from all the trappings that it has already. But then it takes it and gives a new meaning. It's layered with new symbols, it's layered with new materials, and it's framed in a particular way. Dreams also do that. Dreams assemble all the repressed elements. Dreams assemble the repressed worlds and the desires and everything that is there, and it puts together into another complex event called the dreams. But all of it is part of the crucial thing called the us, the identity of us. And the identity of us is definitely shaped by, not only by the conscious events around us, but the unconscious around us. And that's the power of the unconscious, that it is so hidden that we don't realize. We only realize the power of the unconscious when something traumatic happens, when a breakdown happens, when something neurotic or psychotic happens. So it's very important for us to understand that the identity, the identity formations which we have is governed also by the hidden realm of the unconscious. And the hidden realm of the unconscious can only be understood and accessed by the study of the dreams, the examination of the dreams, and also dreams can be better understood via the expressions that these artists have produced. So that is why I feel.